Good morning, everyone. My name is Adam, and you are watching Garage Built with Adam. It's my 93 Eagle Talon. I've had this probably going on 8 years now. Um, Built by me, pretty much put everything together. This is the second shell. We'll go over that in other videos here in the future. Just want to introduce myself, and we're going to get right to the video. I have an HX40 turbo sitting here. Got it on a really good deal. A guy on one of the DSM pages on Facebook messaged me, said, hey, really good deal going on. I'll split it. I don't want the turbo, but got a really smoking deal on a manifold, so he kept the manifold. Sold me this turbo for $200. Once I got the turbo in, speaking with Matt with Morrison Fabrication, he said, hey, let's do some measurements and stuff like that. Let's take and see which one it is. Come to find out, it's one of the most desirable HX40 turbos, called the Super 40 is the other word for it. I have been running an HX35 for going on 2 years now, with the Morrison Fabrication manifold, as you guys do see here in the video. With that, beforehand, as a bolt-on manifold, which would have been a BEP housing, which is an HX35. Doesn't make as much power as it currently does now, but we're getting rid of that turbo and we're going to go to a little bit bigger one. Please join me for the ride. We're going to go in some cinematics and actually watch the install on this. I'll be doing some discussion on the turbo throughout the video, so please feel free to tune on in. Remember to like, subscribe, share this video with your friends. This is still a fairly new channel. I'm looking forward to see what it takes me in the future. Again, we are going with a much larger HX40 turbo. What is currently on the vehicle is an HX35. The HX35 is a very common upgrade for a bigger turbo if you don't want to spend a lot of money. Now, it does get you to really good power goals. If you're looking about the 500, 550 horsepower range, the HX35 does achieve that pretty easily. This is a much larger turbo. I have plans roughly about 600, 650 currently. Very well may change here in the future. Now, this turbo will get me to that area. Should be very minimal amount of boost to be able to get me to my power goals. Now, the exhaust turbine side of this one is a 12 centimeter housing. This 12 centimeter housing is an HX35 housing machined to accept the HX40. I did this just for a mean of an easy install. This will bolt exactly in the same place as the HX35 with no modifications needed. Now, this is a much smaller housing. It is not going to flow as much. So I might not be able to reach the potential of what this turbo can actually produce, but at this point in time, we put a 12 centimeter housing on. We're going to do a lot of testing with it just to see where everything sits. And then eventually in the wintertime, we are going to get everything modified with Morrison Fabrication, and I'm going to be putting a 16 centimeter housing on there. Again, going to do some testing, and we're going to actually look at the difference in the data. I understand it's going to be quite a long time, but do stick with me on this journey. I feel like it's going to be a pretty interesting one. All right, now that we have that off, this is the old HX35 that we were taking off. This is the HX40 that we are putting on. A couple little differences. You may not know compressor size does look a little bit bigger. Might not look like that in the video. The HX35, this is an HX35W. What that means is there is a little flange right here too as well for the factory DSM or the factory Cummins vehicles. This is where the wastegate would sit on there. We of course don't have that, so there's never anything put on there. This is going to be the HX40. I do have to switch this nipple over here. That is my boost source. That is my source for my boost controller, so it can actually see how much pressure is being made inside this pipe. So that in the controller itself, it can adjust the pressure and hold it. I don't know if you can see from there, but here's a compressor wheel. This compressor wheel is 54 millimeters in size. This compressor wheel is 60 millimeters inside. So big difference there. Definitely going to make a big difference on the vehicle itself. As you've seen in the previous video, here is that Morrison manifold. Quite beautiful, quite nice. It is a little discolored because I unfortunately did not follow their directions in wiping this off in acetone. Besides the fact I did have some debris that flew on it while it was hot, did not get that cleaned off in time. I do have plans for this winter. It's either going to be sanding it down and polishing it again or getting it Cerakoted. I will be wiping this down before I get it back on. I just don't want it to discolor any more than it already has. But Morrison Fabrication makes a lot of great parts. I utilize their 3/4 inch drain line on my holset turbo. Does a great job at making sure that these turbos do drain properly. One of the biggest problems that a lot of people run into with these is they try to adapt this to the factory drain line or a smaller size drain line. These turbos require a -12 and fitting. That 3/4 inch gets me to that size, allowing this turbo to drain properly and not smoke at all. Alright guys, so I apologize for the horrible lighting. So in the previous video there's two ears that come off that. They do need to get cut off if you are going to be using the Morrison manifold with twin wastegates or with the divided housing. So you'll need two wastegates. One does come down this way. Those two ears do get in the way. You will have to cut them off. There's no way around it. Now, if you did have one of the Morrison's manifold where you have the single wastegate on the opposite side, so if it's just going to be on that side over here, this does clear with no problem. Again, I have a divided manifold, so I have two. So I ran into that issue. No problem. Just taking a couple different cuts. I did take this whole entire thing off. I did cut it. After I cut it, put it back on the vehicle, ran into some more issues where it was still making some contact. So I've been slowly grinding away at it. Once it is all ground off, it is going to be all cleaned up. I'll wash it down with some water. I'll make sure it's nice and clean before I do start the vehicle. At that point in time, we'll get you guys in on it, and then we'll also take it for a drive. All right, guys, we are back. So as you can see, everything is back together. Ran into some issues. I will insert the picture here. So you can't really see it, but underneath this wastegate, this tube for the wastegate itself goes in between the turbo itself and the manifold. There was no room. I had cut a couple ears off of it just so it can fit. I don't know if we can look down there or not. Let me get my light. So where that turbo sits, or where that tube sits, that goes between there. Obviously you can see a little bit here. Try to get down there. Okay, that is perfect. So, those two ears, right where that tube is sitting, I did have to cut. Not only did I have to cut it, I had to take a grinder to it. So I was able to grind enough away so that that tube does fit. Does a great job. Put it in. I already have started it. I will be doing a video that does include the first drive. Get some reactions on, the difference between the HX35 and the HX40. I really wanted to see how everything goes. So, unfortunately, I wanted to more or less just get this together. I felt like it might be a little bit boring for you guys to see this thing go in and out multiple times, like you may see a little bit on the time-lapse video. A lot went into clocking the turbo correctly so that the oil is going to drain properly. Also, just so everything fits up perfectly too as well. If I ever had to take this out or put it back in, I want to be able to do it with ease. Aside from that, I did make a couple changes. So right here is the O2 sensor wiring. Now, this was ran below the manifold beforehand. I did take it and I ran it above here. More than enough room. Looks a little better in my opinion. Second off, I wanted to get it away from underneath the manifold itself. Second thing I did is I went through my lines here and I did put zip ties on them now instead of having those metal clamps, just because I felt like it looked a little bit better. Besides the fact that I was reading that those metal clamps do tend to pinch these lines just a little bit, and I did not want that to affect the operation of the wastegates. Now, only time will tell. As you guys did see, that manifold, that cast turbine housing is probably 1 centimeter away from the back of the fan, so only time will tell. I don't know if it is going to cause too much of an issue with heat. I did not see if there is any issues right now. I could probably see if I can't. Yeah, I think I have some scraping on there, but I don't see any residue of like too much heat. I don't see anything melting. Obviously, I haven't had a lot of runtime on this as well. So, when we do go for our first drive, I'm looking for a mount right now for my phone. So, when we do go for a drive, I can mount that so I can drive properly and safely. I want to be able to make sure that we're going to be going down the road safe. I also did some moving around. I'll make a video of it, just kind of go over it. But I did take all my gauges and I moved them. So made a plate and I moved everything down here. I feel like that's a much better location. I feel like it just looks better versus I had gauges up here. I had a pod over here that had one, and then there was an empty one sitting over here. I didn't like that too much, just aesthetic wise, but I want to be able to just to make sure this all looks good and all looks the same. And I want to be able to make sure that, I have no problems in the future and having everything in one central location. I just have to look at one thing instead of looking at multiple different angles. So, from there, I do want to finish this up. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. Look forward to more content. Now, I do have a family, so it does get pretty crazy around here. You may see my kids from time to time. You might see my wife, you might see my dog. They do love this car very much. They love going for rides in it, and they just, all in all, support my love for vehicles. My wife always has.
Been together for many, many years, and my kids are starting to love it too. So I don't know what the channel will bring. I hope to bring quite a bit of fun to the community. Again, I am working with a holset turbo. There's not a lot of information on it, so I do want to try to cover as much as I can, along with the install, eases, different options. So over time, I will go over that. I'll be looking at the comments. If we see anything that I could cover in the future, I will most likely make a video on it. I do have the HX35 I wanted to go over with what I currently have, um, well, swapped out, along with different housings as well. I have another housing that was made for a different turbo, but that's another movie, another video. So again, thank you guys very much. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll try to get to the comments the best I can. Subscribing helps me build the channel, be able to bring more awareness to the whole set turbo. It is old technology, but it's still quite used, and a lot of people are starting to use it more from my thoughts and my feelings. And also what I see for the interaction on Facebook, and not much on the forum because not a lot of people go on that anymore. So, again, my name's Adam. You guys have a great day.